Okay, in this video, we want to set our bottle up so that we can start designing our label for the bottle. So there's a specific way that I want you to do this. So let's kind of go through this. All right, we're going to want to switch over to our render view. And we're going to want to, I've already got this set up for a 4:5 portrait. You can actually make custom settings, but usually for the bottles, this 4:5 portrait works pretty well. And we're going to go to the right side. And then I want to go down here because by default, when you go to the render, it's in a perspective view. And to design our label, we really want an orthographic, just a perfect side view of our bottle. So down here under your display settings, under camera, you can see it's perspective, and we want to do orthographic, which is like what it is in the modeling space. And so we're looking at it straight on. Now for this, we're only going to need to render the bottle, so we can turn the liquid off so we don't see it. Now the other thing we want to do is we need to set that the quality of the bottle, the render of the bottle, is set to a high quality. So on the bottle right here, we need to right click and go to display detail control. So by default, what it does is has adaptive, and it goes in and it kind of senses how good the graphics card that you have, and it will degrade the bottle so that it doesn't bog down in your viewport when you're working on it. But now that we're doing rendering, we want to turn this off. So we wanted to go to fixed, and we want it on the highest quality setting that we can get. All right, let's set up a material for this. So what we want to make sure is most of you right now have a glass on it. Okay, so what we can do is make a material. So if you'll go down to other materials, base material, and then get this base material, opaque material, and let's load this in and let's drop it onto it. And then we're going to adjust this. We don't want it too dark. Okay, we're going to make it so we do want it gray, so we want it kind of a light gray, so don't get it too dark. And we do want some reflectivity, so don't make it too rough. We want some reflectivity, so we get a little bit of highlight in there, so there's a little bit of detail when we're rendering it. Okay. Now you can also, at this point, you can play with the lighting if you want. We might want to adjust how bright the lighting is. I'm going to go with something about like that. I don't want it white. I want it to have a body to it, so there's some dimensionality to it. You can also go in here on your position for your HDRI file, and you can rotate this around to see where it's getting the best kind of highlight, so it looks like a nice volume bottle. I'm going to go for something like that. I like that nice little highlight so I can see exactly where that curvature is. So I'm going to go with something like that, and that looks okay. So I'm going to close that, and then I'm going to, it's a dark gray. I'm going to make it a little bit lighter gray, something like this. And then that's a good base to render from to design our label with. Okay, now before, what we've done has been rendering it in our viewport here, but what we really want to do is to render it larger than our viewport. So this is where we're going to use this render button. So I can go to this render button, click it. Then by default, it may say Cloud Renderer here. We don't want to use Cloud Render. That's where you're sending it to render across the cloud to Autodesk, and then they charge you money for rendering it. So we don't want that. We want to use your local renderer right here. And then we can change what our settings are here. Okay, I'm going to render this out larger than what I'm going to originally use. And so I'm going to go for 2000. It's going to render fairly fast because it's just a straight on view, no transparency, but I want a large render, and that way I can come back and I can scale it down in Photoshop or Illustrator that I'm doing the label in. Okay, when I do this and hit render, You get a little thing down here that's saying it's going to put it. So what it's going to do is down here you have a render gallery in here. You kind of want to open this up, and when it renders it, it's going to put it right here. When it gets finished, this line will go across. You can click on it, and it'll pop it up. And it says I got another minute. Okay, so I'm just going to close this and wait. And I'm just going to pause this while it's rendering. Okay, so now it's done. And I click here, and it'll pop up. There's my render. And so then I can download it right here. And then you give it a name. I'm just going to call this my label base. And then you tell it, where you want to save it to. PNG is what we'll save it as. And I'm saving it to my E drive. And then I hit save. Then I can close this. And now that has been saved on to my E drive that I can open up and start designing my label with it. Okay, hopefully that helps you on the first stage of designing your label, which is to get a base to design on. All right, thank you.